Hi, Castille. How are you today?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problem. So, my first question for you is how did you get involved with the picture?
With Perfect Addiction, it actually came to me. So a movie I did called Fear of Rain. The casting director was good friends with the producer of this,
Hmm.
and she suggested me, and it just so happened that I had also done a previous Wattpad project, and so it was kind of like perfect timing, perfect kismet, whatever it is. That I was like, this is great, and they hired me. I don't even think they met with anyone else potentially.
Oh, wow. That's a little bit of pressure, don't you think? Just knowing that they put all their trust into you and they
No,
knew you could.
it's
I mean,
great.
you pulled it
I
off.
mean, it was really wonderful working with these producers because they're the producers are all men on this movie. But they also were like so not deferential. They were really strong in their opinions, but they also gave me a lot of freedom and like made it very clear that they trusted my vision from the get-go. And that is that's really empowering to have that and to feel like, you're not your opinions don't matter or like you're just there as a set piece.
Hmm.
I think that oftentimes happens with like, we need a female director, and then they like silently direct from the sidelines. It was really nice with this team to be given that power and be able to kind of create in that zone.
So, when you're creating movies like this, because obviously you said this isn't your first Wattpad production, so there's words already written for this way before even obviously the screenwriter gets a hold of it and writes it. So for you, how do you make sure that you are putting your own creative vision on it and not delving too much into either what the author created or what fans want to see?
Well, I think that on the after movies it was a little different because the fan base there is so vocal and
Hmm.
so specific about what they want. And it was really important. I was also on that movie, on those two movies, working with Anna, and like
Hmm.
she gave me a lot of the information that I needed to say like, do this, don't do this, etc. There are things in that book that the fans don't like, so we kind of course corrected for the movies. So that was kind of a different animal than Perfect Addiction, where it's a little bit small. I mean, it still had tons of views, but it
Hmm.
was a comparatively smaller viewing audience, or reading audience rather. So I had a little bit more freedom, and just the constraints of shooting it in Poland, and we really did, I think we retained the characters and the situation more than really anything else in it. The dialogue is all kind of new,
Hmm.
and it's reworked, and you just have to do that, I think, with an action piece like that, and where you don't also have the luxury, if you will, of like four movies, right, to tell the story. Here it's like it needs to be a little more contained, so we had to do a lot of work on the script that took it away from the book, but I think ultimately helped the movie as opposed to the book.
No, I 1,000% agree with whatever you guys did because I watched the movie and I loved it. Loved your guys' whole take on it. But what I really liked was the fact that, even when you're watching obviously the fighting scenes and then, the more intimate scenes, the whole transition into those things were just seamless, from shots to the cast cutting in. So, how do you as a director balance that? Because this movie is from one extreme to the other when it comes to shooting. As I said, you're doing an action scene and then an intimate scene. Oh, and then we're not only doing a physical fighting scene, we're doing a fighting scene between two of the leads where they're just yelling at each other. So how do you balance all that?
I think everything comes from character for me with this. And I really came at it like my original pitch, I remember, was very much about tying together the physical body, like the physical, the emotional, and in terms especially of like the passion they feel on the mat or when they're doing their athletic wondery. it's the same thing that they feel for each other, right?
Mhm.
And you can film these scenes quite similarly. You're not filming, you're not just putting the camera somewhere and letting them have, a fisticuffs in front of you. And the same thing with an intimate scene. You're not just like putting a camera there and expecting them to like make it look real. Like
Yeah.
all of that stuff is engineered in camera and in the edit. So they're actually, I thought that that's really what drew me to the project too, was like the mentality of an athlete is one of obsession, and
Mhm.
it's so rooted in the body, and that transfers over to it parallels rather Sienna's kind of not obsession with these guys, but her romantic feelings, her lust, and all of that is obviously also rooted in the body. So I think that was the through line for it.
Well, I think what you also did was you brought out the competitive nature in each of the leagues, and that's so important with, any athlete, especially at such an elite level, is that's built into them. They have a need to want to be the best. And if they're not the best, they're going to be the best no matter what. And you saw that in each aspect of the three leads is they wanted to be the best. And whether it started out as, for Sienna, I just want to, get back at my boyfriend, but we're going to do this in a way that, or excuse me, ex-boyfriend, in a way that's going to make you the best. It's realizing as she's going on, I'm actually attracted to this person at the same time. But I was just, I had the opportunity to talk to Matthew earlier today about Jax, and you guys at the very end, though you don't redeem the character, you leave it as I want to know more about him, from how you guys shot him to the last line. So was that something that you guys kind of discussed at the end, or was that just all Matthew being like, he's the one that brought it at the end to make the audiences, I think, want a spinoff based on him?
I mean, he brings it all the time, but we definitely went into it with it kind of engineered to give him his own movie if
Mhm.
if this first one is successful, because I think he is such a, like, I'm always drawn to complex kind of morally gray characters, and I think Jax is, there's so much that's interesting about him. Like, he's
Mhm.
got to be so damaged, right, to do what he does. And there's also, like you said, this competitive thing, and like he has something to prove, and I want to know why he needs, like, why
Yep.
he feels he needs to prove himself all the time. And I think we look at these people in our everyday lives and we say, oh, well, they must, have their shit together, they really have all this confidence, blah blah blah. And when you really meet these people that are at that level, there's oftentimes such a deep insecurity rooted in some sort of familial issue, some sort of body issue, something. There are insecurities that they are compensating for, and they just happen to be able to obsess enough that they become the best.
Mhm.
And I like that kind of mentality, call it the mentality of a champion, but really it's like the mentality of someone who is somehow broken and has overcome obstacles to become a champion. Like, I want to know that story. So we very much honed in on him, and I just think he's like such a superstar, Matthew, that I want to know what his story is too. So I'm glad that you thought so as well.
Well, for my final question for you today, what are you hoping fans get from the movie?
I hope that they have a nice escapist time. Kind of, it's like a popcorn movie, right? So it's not something that's like so serious. I think it's really nice to just have a movie where you can go and have fun watching it with your girlfriends or your boyfriend or whatever. I think that that's really what I want people to take away from it. It's just like the fun, sexy, cool thing. And maybe if they feel more empowered after watching it and they want to go try their hand at some martial arts, like, great, good on them.
Well, I think they definitely will. Because at the end, I was like, oh, this looks like this could be fun. I know it is not. It is very, very hard. But you look at it and you're just like, it's everything from how you guys choreographed it going into it. It's something that I think will pique a lot of people's interest in wanting to try, if not even watch. Go in and see. Okay, let me see what this is all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So hopefully, yeah,
ahead.
inspired to do that as well.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. I'm so excited for everyone to see the movie.
Thank you.